heavy rainfall is due to convectional effects. And of course, the amount of rainfall varies with distance from the sea. And you also have high altitude equatorial climates in areas with highlands. And in the western end of Guinea Coast and Madagascar, you have narrow areas of monsoon. Here, annual rainfall is heavy. That's dry season and pronounced wet season. Then we have the tropical wet and dry. Tropical wet and dry. Here, the difference between this tropical wet and dry and the other one, that's the equatorial, is that there is marked wet and dry season. Okay, there is marked wet and dry season, both the north and south of the tropical forest, of the tropical climatic zone. And the shaded light green in your atlas. And in some places, it's called the savanna mosaic or derived type. Then we have the hot deserts. The hot desert are Sahara, Kalahari, and Namib Desert. They are all close to the Sahel. Kalahari, Namib, of course, close to is in southern part. Okay, and temperature is high throughout the year. Temperature is high throughout the year. The daily range is also high. Daily range is different between the high maximum temperature and lowest temperature in a day is also high. And that is due to the stable continental tropical air mass. Remember, we talked about that. That dominates the northern part. And then you have rainfall that falls from time to time when that area is dominated by tropical maritime air mass. Okay, so rain falls in some places. Then we have now the desert condition in Somalia. You know, what leads to desert condition varies amongst these deserts. First, in Somalia, northern part of Somalia, it is due to the rain shadow effect of the Ethiopian Massif. Remember that when you have highlands, you have more rainfall on the windward side, and then the other side will be dry. The leeward side will be dry. So when you have this Ethiopian Massif, you have the windward side will be rainy, the other side will be dry, which now that is what is referred to as the rain shadow effect. So now have the desert condition because of the rain shadow effect of the Ethiopian Massif. And then the Namib Desert, the dry condition there is due to the effect of upwelling of the cool Benguela current, that is the ocean current that washes southern Africa, okay? That washes southern Africa. Now I want you all to send me a message, a chat, indicating your name and your matric number. Everybody should do that now. Just send me a chat indicating your name and matriculation number as I proceed. Did you all hear me? Send a message indicating your name and matric number. Send a message indicating your name and matric number. Message indicating your name and matric number. Okay? But I will soon stop and I want to take that immediately. You don't have to talk. Just send it as a chat, please. You don't have to talk. Don't distract the class. Just send it as a chat. Okay. The dry summer subtropical. That's the Mediterranean. Can you please keep quiet and just send a chat? The dry summer subtropical Mediterranean climates. Now we have this in the extreme north and south. Remember that is where you also have the Atlas Mountains and the Cape Ranges. That is where we have the Mediterranean climate. This area experiences dry summer. In other climatic belts, who is that person speaking? Please keep quiet.
No.
Now,
I need to take attendance.
No, no need of that.
Okay, so let's continue, please. So the Mediterranean area experiences dry summer. In the other climatic types we have discussed, summer is wet. Summer is wet. That means they have much of their rainfall during summer. But in the Mediterranean, they have dry summer and wet winter, moist winter. Okay, just to point out the difference. Now here, rainfall is between 635 and 762 mm. And the areas experience dry anticyclone air in summer and maritime polar air in winter. Now, the humid subtropical marine, that's tropical highland, occurs in the southeast coast of South Africa. You know, it covers a very small area in southeast coast of South Africa. It also has maximum precipitation, summer maximum precipitation of 1,092 millimeters. That is due to the maritime position of the area. And then the area is also limited by rise of the plateau slopes towards the interior. And that, of course, influences climate. Now, the dry winter, subtropical. Now, here in South Africa, the plateau is called the high veld because of its high elevation and grassland vegetation. So the plateau in South Africa is called the high veld because of its high elevation, it is high, and it has grassland. And then, because again of its location and altitude, that leads to a temperate climate. You know the difference between temperate and tropical climates. Temperate climate has lower temperature, okay? And we also have another region of warm temperate climate in Ethiopia. And that is as a result of the topography and altitudinal variation, okay? And altitudinal variation. That means there's variation in climate as you climb, you know, as you climb maybe a highland, there's variation in the climate, okay? And then so within a short distance, you have different climates in the case of Ethiopia. So two areas where we have the warm temperate highlands is in South Africa and Ethiopia. There we have temperate climates there, okay? I think that is that with today's discussion. So we have the references, download that, and you'll be able to see more explanations on types of, on the features of climate. And then also download the PDF document I have attached so that you can understand better what we are talking about. So can we proceed to another topic, or do you have questions? Let's take your questions and then we proceed to another topic, because I'm looking at time so that we can cover more grounds before next week. Yes. Yes. Connection. Sorry, the lightning in my office is poor, so.
Yes, ma'am. Please, I just put a message in the chat box now.
What's your question? I didn't hear that.
I was actually trying to follow the notes as on modules, but I couldn't get the exact slide.
Exact what? You can send it as a chat.
The exact slide, ma, like the notes.
Sorry?
Yes, ma, I've done that already, ma.
Okay, let me see. Let me read. Just a minute, please. Oh, the PDF document. In fact, it's on the LMS page. The PDF document is on the LMS page. It's on the LMS page. Okay. Any other question? Question?
Yes,
Question?
ma'am.
Yes, questions? Any question? Can we move on?
Yes, I
I
have a
thought you said
question.
most of LMS are the same.
I have a
The
question.
There's one
what is it
question.
called? Is it called LMS or what? Well, I don't know. The LMS page where we upload your notes,
Yeah.
materials for lectures. Some of your colleagues have were able to access it last week. So please discuss with them. So those materials have uploaded certain materials for you, and the one where you have the URL link is attached. So you can also download the material on climate
Hello,
for
ma.
more.
Question,
Yes,
ma.
bro.
Any
Ma, I
question?
have a question.
Sorry,
Ma, I have a question.
you have a question. What's the question?
Yes, ma. Good morning, ma. Good morning, ma.
What
Good
is your
morning, ma.
question? Send it as a chat. I can't hear you clearly.
Okay,
Good
ma.
morning.
I want to ask, what is the relationship between climate and economic development in Africa?
Relationship between.
Between climate and economic development in Africa.
Very good question. So who wants to tell us that? How does climate influence economic development of Africa? Yes, who wants to tell us? How does
Yes,
climate
ma.
influence economic development of Africa? You had better start preparing for a test. I'll give you a quiz anytime. I will not tell you when, the date and time. So as the lecture is proceeding, I will just stop and give you a quiz, and you send in your answers within 5 or 10 minutes. So start preparing for a short quiz. Okay, so how does climate influence economic development of Africa?
Yes,
Yes.
ma.
Climate influence the economic development of Nigeria through in the agricultural sector. For instance, if you have a good climate, the farmer will have a good yield in the year.
See.
Okay, well, I didn't hear you, but let me explain further. Now, from what we have said, you can see some areas receive high rainfall, some areas receive low rainfall. Okay, so climate, of course, influence the type of crops that can be cultivated. Climate influence the type of crops that can be cultivated, the type of agricultural practices. So you see there's a variation. You have forest crops in some places. You have crops that are grown in the grassland region where rainfall is low, where you have much dry season. You also have, what is it called? Apart from influencing the types of crops cultivated, climate, of course, also influences soil fertility. Climate influences soil fertility that's influencing cultivation of crops. Then the human activity are also determined to a large extent by climate. Human activity that influenced by climate. Then how else does climate influence our development? Apart from agriculture, that's the major factor. Climate influences agriculture. Then remember we said Africa receives high insolation, particularly in desert areas and other areas. That means if we have the technology, we can harness that. We can harness that as a source of energy in the continent. But because of poor technology, Africa has one of the highest potential of developing our solar electricity from solar, using solar energy. We have very high potential of solar energy, but because of low level of technology, we have not been able to harness that potential to a very large extent. Okay. Then, of course, I've said climate influences our rainfall. It's a very major, it's an important factor. When you have low rainfall, it affects agricultural activity where you have low rainfall. So that's limited. That means export. There are so many factors. Those factors are intertwined. You have to be able to explain them in detail. Okay, so let's quickly talk about. I've not posted